Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Paris Saint-Germain versus Manchester City in the second UEFA Champions League semi-final kicks off tomorrow night, 8 p.m. But of course, first, the big preview, the build-up. Both these teams have been labelled in the past of being bottle jobs at this stage of the competition or in this competition in general. Mauricio Pochettino is definitely labelled with that. And Pep definitely suffers unfair criticism for his time at Manchester City and even his time at Bayern Munich, having not won this since leaving Barcelona. And people feel that with the riches and the players he always has at his disposal, he should be doing a lot better. So there's a lot riding on this game. I've got a wonderful panel to help preview this game with me this afternoon. On top of that, the second half of the show, we're going to be looking at another 5 Premier League legends in who we think out of those 5 should be the first pick to be put onto the Premier League Hall of Fame, including Rio Ferdinand, Patrick Vieira, Sol Campbell, Ashley Cole, and Frank Lampard. So make sure you stay tuned in and stay with us for that. But I'm joined by Jess. I've got Tom here, and of course, resident City fan on the terrace, Jan's in the house. How are you all doing this afternoon?
Good. Can't complain.
Good. How's the weather in California, Jess?
It's really good. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's warming up already. So yeah, I'm not moving over there, you guys. Every single time somebody asks me, I'm like, I can't, California weather. But yeah, things are good over here.
Well, listen, I've been California a couple of times, San Jose, and every time I was there, it was just mad. It was so good, like weather-wise, crazy. And how are you feeling ahead of tomorrow night? Big match, semi-final. Right now, the furthest you've ever been in the tournament is a semi-final. Maybe the best team you've ever had as well. How are you feeling ahead of it?
A little bit nervous, to be honest, but I think at the start of the season, my expectations were that we got further than the quarters, which we've done. PSG were my favourites at the start of the season, so yeah, it's going to be difficult, but hopefully we can do it. We do have a team that on their day, if they play at their best, they can beat anyone. So let's just hope that we do that.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Absolutely. Tom, from your point of view, you're a Liverpool fan. You've experienced a lot of highs and some lows in this tournament over just in your lifetime, let alone your club's history. How do you think Pep Guardiola is going to approach this game? Do you think it will be his normal system, or do you think he might overthink it?
He has a knack for doing that, and he hasn't done it yet, but I don't know whether he's going to overthink it or whether PSG is just going to be too good of a knockout team for them. Because I've had it from the start that PSG be the favourites because they just have the perfect knockout team. They've got an attack that's so quick and so fluid, and a defence that isn't amazing, but it can get the job done. And that's all you need in knockout games. You just need that little bit of luck, and they have that experience now, which may well come in crucial in this tie. But I wouldn't put it past City to go and produce here. Pep, he's got the system, hasn't he? He's got this brilliant City team. If he just treats it like a normal game, I don't see anyone but City winning.
I hear you. How about yourself, Jess? Mauricio Pochettino. He himself has been labelled as someone that sometimes tinkers too much when he doesn't have to. He's also been labelled as being unable to get his team over the line. Is it a big opportunity for him to win a mammoth game and kind of put some of those skeletons to bed?
Yeah, it is. I think that he has a really good chance of doing that this time around. This team is really good. I think they're weirdly underrated. I'm not really sure if it's because they play in France or what, but I think this team may not be the best in terms of maybe passing or, whatever we usually use to define a good team, but they're dangerous. And that's really all that matters. So I think Poch will take this as an opportunity to kind of like maybe silence the naysayers and this team as well, because they were actually in the Champions League final last season. So they have something to prove. And the weird thing about this game is I think it's kind of set up for City to have a lot of possession and, PSG not to have any and just kind of hit them on the break. So I don't really anticipate anything different than that. It's just a matter of Man City can break them down. And I think that'll be more difficult than PSG going down and scoring off of on the counter. So yeah, I actually think PSG might have a little bit of an edge, but we'll see.
I hear you on that. We know Paris Saint-Germain are dangerous. That counter-attack of Mbappe, Neymar, it purrs. It absolutely purrs. I think what's going to be interesting is that approach. How high tomorrow night, Jan, do you think Pep will play his line?
I don't know. But if he watched that Bayern Munich game, hopefully he's learned from that, because they played right into PSG's hands the way they played in the first leg. They played into their hands, and Mbappe got what he wanted. And Neymar in the second leg was brilliant. Even though he didn't score, he should have. So yeah, Man City need to be careful. I'm worried about our defense. Not so much actually our defenders. I'm just worried about Ederson, because Ederson likes to play football. And this is not the game to play football. This is the game to stay on your line and make saves. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried. That being said, City have been better in the Champions League this season than the league. A lot of people look at like the Leeds game and say, City going out because they lost to Leeds. But if you watch in the Champions League this season, we are actually better than we are in the Prem. So I do expect a slightly higher standard of football from us. So hopefully, I'm hoping we can do it. I don't think people are kind of saying, it's over, City are out. We've seen it before. Last season against Real Madrid, people said exactly the same thing. You're never going to beat them. They've won it this many times. And we did knock them out. So it's possible. I just think it'll depend on how clinical we are going forward and how solid we are at the back. And if any of them are a little bit out of line, like we do what we did against Spurs and have a million shots and don't shoot or don't score. And then if we're defensively weak, then I think we go out. But yeah, we just need to make sure we stay in the game and try and get away goals, really.
Yeah, do you know what I find interesting is you're absolutely spot on. Bayern definitely played into PSG's hands. However, if you go and watch those games back, PSG had most of the play. Bayern had most of the play. They opened up PSG at will for, I would say, 80% of the two games. They were in such golden positions to score. I see City being able to do the same thing. I think City will be able to play through PSG in the same way that Bayern Munich did. It's just that clinical edge. And we're going to get onto who you should pick to go up front a little bit later, but it's taking those chances. Raheem Sterling's finishing is off form. Gabriel Jesus, could he? I don't know if he could hit a cow's backside with a banjo at the moment. Will Aguero start? Mahrez isn't a prolific goal scorer, as an example. So that's the only area that I would be worried and concerned at as a City fan. I think you're going to open them up. I think you're going to get the opportunities. It's whether or not you can finish them, because the other end, when you get caught on the counter, and you will, because you know what, I'm not saying Poch will do this, but all Poch has to do is get on the phone to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and goes, what is it you do? Because he's got better players than Man United have at his disposal. So it's good for me. It's two very contrasting styles against one another. I think it's going to make for an amazing game. There is no doubt about that whatsoever.
You know what also, Terry, that's really frustrating about PSG too, that I would hate to have to play against this, is they're so good at keeping the ball and frustrating you and buying fouls. Neymar and Di Maria, if City gets frustrated and they start to, feel like they're not getting the break that they should, I just see Di Maria and Neymar keeping the ball and frustrating the likes of Rodri and getting them on yellow cards. Fernandinho, those are things that you guys have to watch out for too, because I can easily see the yellow cards flying if they get frustrated, because those guys can hold the ball. So this should be really interesting. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I'm the same. It's going to be the team that takes their chances, I think. I know that's a very Michael Owen thing to say. The team that scores the most will win. What I actually mean is, and I'll reiterate that, I heard it as soon as I said it. I went, that's a I tell. It's both are going to get chances. Both are going to get chances, and the most clinical will come out on top. And that is a bit of a cliche again, but I think both will have opportunities to win it. It's just going to be about the one that finishes their dinner. I don't think we're going to see a case of City finishing the game and we go, where were the chances? I don't think we're going to play a game where Paris Saint-Germain don't get those 4 or 5 counterattacks where you're like, they should have scored. If Paris Saint-Germain have a game like they did against Bayern Munich in the final last year where they're missing sitters, that's them gone. And if City's striking is like it was against Leeds United, it could be the other way around. Or they could both be clinical edge. And we might have, imagine this game brings up a ball draw. Can you imagine? It'd be crazy, wouldn't it, Tom? But yeah, we'll see that. There's a comment here from Langan Sweet that says Mbappe and Neymar also wasteful at times. Everyone is forgetting that. I mean, just by magic, it's just what. Yeah, listen, they can be. I think do you feel like certain players, Mbappe, Neymar are 2 of them, because people only watch them sporadically and they see the highlights and the trending moments? Do you sometimes feel like there's almost this myth that they score in every single game they play in? They never drop clangers. They never miss open goals.
Either that or the people that do watch them and bring it up, it gets emphasised even more and it gets put on them even more. I mean, I'll be the first to say one of the first things I did on this channel was saying Mbappe can't finish. He's an awful finisher. And I compared him to like just Salah and Mane in terms of they get these chances and they do score, but they take about 3 to finally put it in the net. And when you get to these stages, you can't afford that because there's no guarantee that you'll be getting 3 chances. You need to take the 1 or 2 that will come to you. And that's why I think this game is going to not be decided by an attack. It'll be decided by a set piece or something through a defender who's just going to get that 1 goal.
No, it could. Let me ask you this question, Jess, as a neutral to this. Are you surprised to see so many people writing off Manchester City?
Yeah, I am. And I don't, just because I think that PSG has the edge, it's just because of recent performances from Man City. And I just think the way that it's set up leans into PSG being a little bit more dangerous. But I wouldn't write Man City off. We could watch the game tomorrow and they can open them up, just like Bayern Munich did, like you said, Terry, and the game can be over like that. So Man City is a really dangerous team. I just think that they have a really difficult time when teams sit behind the ball and limit the space so that they can't find those little passes in between. And that's what they really thrive off of. They need to be able to do those quick, patterns of play. And when you minimize the space, it really stops them from being able to be successful. And then all you need is 1 chance. And I'm sorry, I know that Manchester United is not as good as PSG, but that's the blueprint. That really is. You get a really, really quick player that can just run, into space and you're dead, so Man City is not dead. Obviously, they're a really good team, and I expect them to have all the ball and a lot of chances. But if they get nervous and PSG sense that, which I've seen them get nervous in the past because, things aren't going their way, I can easily see them fouling Neymar and Di Maria and it just turning into that thing where they go down 1 time and score. So Man City, they just have to finish their chances early, get one in the first 10, 15 minutes and see what happens. Because then PSG have to come out, and then the game becomes something different. Get to the 80th minute and nobody scored. I see the nerves coming in.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on there. Jan, can you imagine a scenario where PSG try and have more possession than you, or do you think they will, for large parts, relinquish that and just play counter-attack?
Oh, I'm not too sure. I don't watch PSG all the time. I know, it's interesting because a lot of the people that say City have no chance, they'll say City have no chance because of what they've done in the league or, prior performances. We're actually the only unbeaten team left in the Champions League. We're the only team that haven't been beaten. We also had one of the biggest numbers of clean sheets in a row. I think it was 7 or something. So Man City have been quite good in the Champions League this season. I'm not saying that means we're going to go and beat PSG, because I agree with you. I think it will be on how clinical we are and how clinical they are. I think it will be down to that. I think both goalkeepers, I don't know, I thought in the second leg against Bayern Munich, really and truly, Sane should have had at least 1 goal. As much as Neymar should have had goals at the other end, Sane should have done better in that game. They had quite a few chances that they wasted. I think if Lewandowski is on that pitch, they go in the back of the net. We don't have a Lewandowski right now. Aguero is not quite how he was. But yeah, I think City, for the first leg, I don't think we're under too much pressure. We just need to get an away goal, or hopefully 2. That would be ideal. Because even if it's 2-2, we go into the second leg with the away goals, and we can kind of, hope to win some chance. But I don't know. It's going to be difficult. I don't know how they're going to play. I think Man City will still have the majority of the possession. It's rare that you kind of see a game where they don't. So, I think Man City will control it. But it could be one of them 50-50 games, because that Chelsea game, they had a lot of possession when we played Chelsea in the FA Cup. So, I don't know. It's have to wait to see what happens. But I think City will try and control the game and just do what we normally do. And, it's interesting because, people, you did say the bottlers thing, which is interesting because a lot of people are kind of acting like every season PSG go through to the final. Like last season was the first time they got past the quarters. So they have a similar record to Man City. The only difference is they went straight to the final, whereas we got to a semi and got kicked out. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about the bottler tag is it's set up perfectly, really, for anyone that likes calling these clubs that, because one of them can be labelled at the end of the round, because one of them is going out. No matter what you say, they both can't go through. And we know what narratives are like on socials. There's a few super chats here. The first one says PSG versus West Ham next season. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? That'd be an interesting one. We have a super chat that we just missed, actually. I'll get it back up in a second. This Andre here says, hi, guys. Chelsea fan here. I'm bricking it right now. I bet you are, mate. It's a couple of hours until kickoff, and I know I actually miss that feeling, that knockout Champions League feeling. It feels like forever. United have been there. Respect Neymar and Mbappe. They are the best wingers. They were finalists last season. Do you know what, Ro? I don't think anybody that sat on this panel right now has disrespected them. But I think what's really important from an opponent point of view is to remember how good Man City are. And I think that a lot of people are writing them off, and that's just stupid. It really is stupid. When you look at the plethora of talent they have, it is ridiculous. And they may not have Aguero is all conquering best anymore, but it's the level of quality they possess in that team and in that squad is just phenomenal. And I'm so intrigued to see KDB play along with some others as well. It's going to be an interesting one. There's no doubt. We're going to have a look at some team news in just a moment. There was another super chat that came through, which we couldn't put on the screen because I didn't have time, from KC. And KC says, Paris Saint-Germain don't have Verratti, Paredes in the first leg. Even Marquinhos is injured, except Cancelo, maybe KDB. City have no players out. And that's exactly what we're about to move on to, is talking about the team news. And what must be really nice for you, Jan, is to see that you have pretty much a clean bill of health. A lot of your sort of players that were like KDB that were rumored to maybe out, they all came through the weekend's game unscathed, as it seems. So, is having a clean bill of health a massive positive for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting because De Bruyne, when he's out, some of our players do step up. Like, I can't fault Bernardo Silva and Gundogan. When he's out, they do step up, which we've seen in the 18-19 season, then again this season. But yeah, I think De Bruyne is De Bruyne. Like, I've seen him single-handedly, when we beat Barcelona 3-1, he was the main man. When we knocked PSG out the last time, he was the main man. He was the only one that scored, actually. It's 1-0 and 0-0. But obviously, they didn't have Mbappe and Neymar at that time, so it's slightly different. Yeah. But yeah, he's, even against Lyon, like, he was brilliant in that game. I felt sorry for him because really and truly, the players should have finished their chances and we should have gone through. So yeah, he's going to want to put Man City through to that final. It's just on the other players, because it won't be him that lets us down, or probably not. So
no, I hear that, and the reason I said is it a good thing they're all fit? We've kind of touched on this already. Sometimes when you have a couple of players out, it stops Pep from being able to be too creative. So if you have 2 or 3 players out, it's like, I have to play Joe Blogs on the right hand side because I don't have anybody else. When he has everybody available, because I've seen a lot of the predicted lineups on who scored on two or three different lineups, and Cancelo's name is left out. Is he? Why do I keep seeing Cancelo's name left out? I mean, and I'm not saying this for any salt. I was told a few weeks ago he's the best fullback in the world. So why do I keep seeing his name left out of starting lineups and predicted lineups?
Do you know why I think that would be? Because Cancelo is a fantastic player. Has been for us this season. The only problem is defensively, Kyle Walker's a little bit better defensively. And I think the pace that he has, when you've got Neymar and Mbappe, you need the fastest runners that are going to defend the best. So that's why I think Kyle Walker would play. If it's about creativity, maybe if Man City go, if it's 1-0 to PSG and City just aren't creating anything, then maybe Pep will change it and bring on Cancelo. But I just think he's going to be thinking, we need to be defensively sound, which we do. We need our 4 best defenders at the back, if we're being honest. And then going forward, we need our most clinical players, which at the moment is probably Foden, Mahrez, De Bruyne still. Them sort of players. Because, Sterling, I love Sterling, but he is out of form badly. So he's not going to be scoring. The only thing that I would say about Sterling is the runs that he makes gives the opposition a lot of hard work. We saw it against Spurs. He was running ragged. So I wouldn't mind seeing Sterling play, even though he's out of form. But yeah, Phil Foden should be first on the team sheet, even before De Bruyne. It's got to be Phil Foden.
Wow. He's elevated that much now that you would put Phil Foden in front of KDB.
Well, they both got to play, but
yeah, no. In terms of first name on the team sheet, you'd put Foden first. Wow, that's
the form of his life, and he's just got no fear. He's not going to walk into this game thinking it's PSG. He's going to walk into it thinking it's another game of football that I want to win, and that's the mentality that he has. And we've seen it recently over the last couple of weeks. He's just been unreal, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, he has been amazing. Jess, from your point of view, we'll get back to Cancelo in a bit. I want to speak Phil Foden. How good do you think he is, and how impressed have you been with this young man this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's obviously the best young player, in the world right now. To me, on form, he's levels above anything that I've seen in a very long time. And like Jan said, he has no fear, and that's really important. Young players usually don't, but he has like an extra level of no fear. And I remember when Pep was getting criticized because he wasn't bringing him in probably as much as people wanted to see. But you can see now that easing him into the first team was probably the best thing for him. He's grown at his own pace, and it's like the perfect timing for him to be coming into this level of form. And I agree, like he needs to be the first name on that team sheet. Like I'd be very surprised if he didn't start. And yeah, I love that kid. I think every single time I watch him play, I'm very, very impressed by him. And all the, conversations about, is he better than Greenwood? Is he better than... He's levels above any of the other young players, including Bukayo Saka. And, that's hard for me to say, so.
Wow. Big. Listen, I think his performances have shown that to a lot of people. And I remember back in, I think it was June, a couple of years ago, it was the end of the season. And Guardiola said that he's the most talented young player that he's ever coached. It was sort of scoffed at and laughed at. And you now watch Phil Foden play and you're thinking, yeah, Pep does know. Pep knows what he's talking about, don't he? Like we all knew he was talented, but when you consider the young players who Pep has managed, Thiago Alcantara, Lionel Messi. I mean, just Lionel Messi. And he's like, Phil Foden. I'm not saying Phil Foden will achieve that level of Messi, Ronaldo, but he had the base to do. What we've said about like the Mbappes and the Haalands. We'll get onto Mbappe in a minute. The Mbappes and the Haalands have got this base now where they can go on to become two of the greatest footballers ever because of what the foundation that they've built as young players. I feel like Phil Foden is another year away, but where you might look at in a year's time and say, right, you've achieved amazing things as a teenager and a young player. Now, if you elevate from there, and you could go on to be the best English player ever in the Premier League. You could go on to be one of the best, maybe the best player in the Premier League era. Like I'm not saying you will, but that base is there, that foundation. And football fans, instead of saying, oh, don't overhype him, it's not about being angry with him if he doesn't achieve it, but it's about saying, oh, this is someone that we can all watch and be excited about and, the future of the game. I saw someone tweet earlier today that, like, technically gifted football players are a thing of the past and they're dying off. And I just thought Grealish and Foden and Mason Mount, I'm thinking, where are people talking about? There's loads of these youngsters around right now. He is absolutely amazing, and I'm sure he will start. In terms of the rest of the attacking lineup, Tom, who else should be starting this game? Aguero, Sterling, Gabriel Jesus. Like, would you pick any of them to start this match?
I personally think you've got to start. Got to start Aguero. This is a game where there could be few chances. I need the best finish on the pitch. That's how I think it should be. And I think Phil Foden's operated best this season on the wing. But whether I think Kevin De Bruyne should play is a different story. I don't think he should because he's not 100%. And you could arguably be better off with Bernardo Silva and Gundogan in the midfield if De Bruyne isn't 100%, because you're going to need that midfield to run itself ragged. So if De Bruyne's fit, you play him. He's that good. But if he's not 100%, save him for the second leg, because you don't know what's going to happen here. It's away. You don't want to risk anything on it. It's not the end of the world if you don't score. Just don't concede. But I think you've got to play Aguero for that chance to get that away goal. He's your best finisher. And I don't know. Probably Mahrez has been in the best form, but Sterling's the better player, isn't he? So whoever.
Does it feel really hard from your point of view, Jan? Barring maybe Gabriel Jesus, I know you're a bit of I know you love him, but barring Gabriel Jesus, they're all very talented. Those 5 players on the screen,
yeah,
but 3 of them are not in great form for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Which of the 3, if you had to pick right now? So I assume you said that Phil Foden you would start, Mahrez would start.
Yeah, has to be Mahrez at the moment. So
sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, even in the last leg, like that penalty, the amount of pressure he was in to take that and the way he put it away, he's just been on great form. He's won us quite a lot of points this season as well, Mahrez. So, yeah, definitely start Mahrez. The problem is with Sterling. Sterling's a tricky one because on form, he's not great. Like, he hasn't been great. I think he's been getting better per game. Like, that Spurs game, he wasn't terrible. His just confidence is on the floor, so he can't shoot. So he gets into the right positions, but he can't do anything with it. So it's frustrating to watch. And what I don't want is for him to get into these positions against PSG, and then he doesn't shoot. And then next minute, they've got the ball down the other end and Mbappe puts it away. I don't want that to happen. So, yeah, it's definitely got to be Mahrez. I personally think a false 9 works well for Man City. So I would probably put like Foden as a false 9 or De Bruyne, whichever one. I don't know. I'd love Aguero to start. I would love him to start. The only problem is with him is when he's been injured, takes him a little bit of time to get into form and scoring again. And I really feel like in this game, we're not going to have that many chances. And I don't know if he would put them away right now. On top form, of course, Aguero starts. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. If I was Pep, I would probably go with a false 9, if I'm being honest. But yeah.
I mean, you don't really have a 9 who's fit, I suppose. And Aguero, I'd take my Man United hat off. I'd love to see Aguero win this on a football personal level. I'd love to see him involved. I'd love to see him do it. But every time I've seen him play since he come back from his injury, he just looks. Yeah. I want to say this in a nice way. He just looks finished.
He takes him a while anyway. Even in previous seasons when he's been finished, it takes him about 3 or 4 games to get back to the Aguero that we know. I don't think he's got enough time. I think he's run out of time because the games that we've got, he can maybe play against Crystal Palace because it's not going to be on him if we don't win that game. But yeah, maybe play him against Palace and see how he does. And if he looks sharp, then maybe. But I just can't see it. Unless we go 3-0 up, I can't see him coming on. And that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. No, a lot of people here saying respect Aguero. It's not about not respecting Aguero. I think he's one of the greatest players in Premier League history. But we're talking about the here and now, who should start in a major semi-final. And he just looks largely off the pace. I don't think there's any doubt about that whatsoever. But viewers, we want your predictions. Who should be starting in this Manchester City team? Quite a few people, Lengon Sweet, put the super chat in saying that, Cancelo's not been in great form, so he's not going to start. And that's one thing I do like about Pep. He doesn't keep players in when they're in bad form just because of what they've done in the past. It's you're not performing now, so you're out. Impress me when you come on as a sub, and maybe you'll get back into the team. And I think that's really, really important, no doubt about it. In terms of the form guide, we're going to go into predictions just now as well. It's an interesting read, really, when you look at the form guide for both of these teams. You got PSG, just one clean sheet in the last 5 games, but 15 goals scored, 4 wins. It's pretty emphatic. So you can already see there's that potency. There's that ability to, put teams to bed when they need to. Yes, they had that 1-0 defeat to Bayern Munich, but yeah, it was already over that game anyway. It didn't really matter. But if you look what they did Strasbourg, Saint-Etienne, and then their other 2 league games against Metz and Angers, just smashed them, absolutely smashed them. So we know they've got that potency up front. And when it comes to Manchester City, on the other hand, it looks a little different when you actually look at this. Yeah, 6 goals scored, 3 wins, only 1 clean sheet. So fairly sparse on the goals. Is that a concern to you, Jan, when you actually look at that in the cold, hard light, in daylight? You're barely scoring goals, just 6 goals in 5 games for Man City.
Yeah, it's do you know what? The Leeds game, we should have scored about 8. I don't know how that game was only 1 goal for us. Like, we haven't been clinical enough recently. Champions League, it's been a little bit of a different story. That's the only thing that I would say. Because that 2-1 against Dortmund, I thought City played well in that game. They did what they had to do. So it's a little bit... I'm not really worried about Man City in the Champions League because I do think the players, they want to win it. And if they go out, it's on them. Like, they can't keep blaming Pep. I think that it has to be on them. And, whoever he starts, they have to be up for it and they have to go out there and try their best. If they get beat by an absolute brilliant PSG on their day, I'm not really going to hold that against them. But, yeah. I think we just need to make sure we take our chances. We need to be more clinical. I have been saying that for a while now. But, yeah, I think Champions League is never... I can't see, even if PSG win, I can't see it being like 4-0. I think it'll be a close game regardless. So I don't know.
I know. I do. I think we go back to what we said earlier. It's about taking them chances. In those 5 games, I had a look earlier. You've averaged 21 shots per game and 18 chances per game, which it's so much. You just think to only come out with 6 goals from sort of over 100, just under 100 chances created, just isn't good enough, and that's where you need to be at your absolute best. And then it's keeping out the likes of Mbappe. On Mbappe, Jess, where do you currently rank him globally in terms of? I know a lot of people say he's young, so he's the best youngster in the world. But take him out of that young bracket. Where do you rank him across all age brackets within the men's game?
Well, I mean, just to key in on the young thing, he's been playing at this level a lot longer than some of the players that are actually his age. He was at Monaco putting up numbers when he was like 17. So that's why he's not really considered in that bracket, because he's been around for a while. Same thing with Rashford, I think young, but been in this level for a long time. So you consider him, in the older bracket. I would say, I mean, he's right. He's probably one of the best players in the world, like just naturally. I mean, Messi and Ronaldo are kind of tapering off a little bit. I know they're still putting up numbers, but in terms of excitement, numbers, is there anybody else really in and around this player? Not really, Haaland, but he's still kind of like newish in a way. Mm-hmm. So I would say for me, when I think about the best players in the world that aren't Messi and Ronaldo, the first players that I think of are Neymar and Mbappe. They just happen to be on the same team. I think they're just in that next level above some of the players that we probably look at like, well, there's De Bruyne as well, but he's, I don't know, maybe a year ago I would have considered him like top, but I guess the way that I think about it is like, who would I least want to play against? Who would probably do the most damage to my psyche if we played against them? And that's probably Mbappe. He's scary. He's very hard to, he can only hurt himself. If he doesn't finish, it's on him, but he's going to get chances. So I think he's probably top three in the world, at least, you know? Yeah, the kid's great.
He is, and it's so ahead of his years in terms of the performance levels. Is there a special plan, do you think, Jan? Do you think there'll be something put in place to try and nullify Mbappe? You know, does Diaz, or, you know, who partners Diaz to stop him? Is it Stones or is it Laporte?
I think it will be Laporte, maybe. I don't know Stones, because Stones got banned, but I think he'll be back. So yeah, I don't know, maybe he'll play him because he's had a bit of a rest. So yeah, I honestly don't know. I think it might be Laporte. It's interesting because Diaz has played against Mbappe more recently, and he actually did quite well. So I think Diaz will be the main guy that's on him. But we just need to defend well as a unit. I don't think it can be one person because, you know, if we stop Mbappe, we've still got Neymar. So we're going to have to defend well. You know, it's not going to be a one-man job. I'm just hoping that City defend well because we've shown that we can this season. I think sort of the last half an hour maybe of the Dortmund game, Man City defended better than I've ever seen before. We were really, really good. So yeah, it'd be nice if we can defend well. I just hope that Edison just plays a normal game of football. You know, that's what I'm praying for. But I don't know.
But as KJ always says, he's a midfielder playing in goal. It's how it is. But ladies and gentlemen, we want your score predictions now. What is not the result of the overall tie, but the score predictions tomorrow night? What do you think it's going to be? I'm going to go to Tom first to give me his. Where do you see that at, Tom?
You know, this game gives me vibes of us versus City a couple of years ago in the Champions League, purely because of how good PSG's attack is. It can just turn it on whenever you want. But I think City's defence is a hell of a lot more reliable now. So I could see it being, it's a first leg, so it's probably a bit cagey, maybe a 1-1 draw or PSG nick it 1-0 or 2-1.
How about yourself, Jess? What would your score prediction be for tomorrow night's game?
2-2. I think they're both going to get goals, but you know, City will just edge it because they'll have those away goals. But I definitely don't see them keeping PSG out. So yeah, 2-2.
It's a big one here, 3-1 to City. Can you imagine that happening, Jan? What's your prediction?
It's interesting because we're actually better away from home in the Champions League than we have been at home. So if we are going to win, it's more likely to be in Paris. With it being the first leg, I don't know if they will allow that to happen. That's the only concern that I have. But I'm going to back my team. I'm going to say 2-1 City. But yeah, it could be 2-2. 2-2 sounds about right. But I'm going to say 2-1 because I need Man City to win 2-1.
I'd go with 2-1 Man City, 110%. I think I really rate Paris Saint-Germain. They've got some really good individual players, there's no doubt. They've got a very good manager in Poch. But you have, for me, the better squad overall. You've got the better, more experienced manager. And I think you play the better football. If I go back to that all the problems in that game that Bayern Munich had, and by the way, I think you're better than Bayern Munich. It was just the fact they couldn't finish their dinner. As long as you take your chances, which I think you may tomorrow night, I think you'll win. I think you'll score a couple of away goals. I think you'll win 2-1. And then I think you'll beat them 2-1 or even 3-1 in the return leg as well. But it will be close. There's no doubt about it because they are a very, very talented team. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. I'm just surprised to see in the comment section, someone says Terry wants Poch to fail. So you get my Poch agenda wrong, people. You don't understand my Poch agenda. I love and rate Poch. My agenda towards him stems from people that keep telling me that that if he would have taken over at Man United in December, we'd be lifting the Premier League crown. And it's a case of life ain't that simple. It doesn't work like that. Just because he's, it just is that. But it's a bit of fun and a bit of a laugh and a bit of a joke. Some people take it very seriously. I can't help that. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Michael here says 14-0 Paris Saint-Germain. English teams are trash. Cheers for that, mate. There we go. Fourth. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine? Do you know what I do like every now and then? I've never had it for a couple of seasons, I don't think. My memory kind of gets blurred. But when you have those Champions League nights, where Real Madrid stick 7 in, or was it Bayern Munich stuck 7 past Barca, and then maybe the next year it was Real Madrid stuck just put loads of goals past them over a couple of legs. Be interesting.
But Bayern stuck 7 past Barca, and then the next season Real Madrid put like 6 past Bayern.
Yeah, and there's something like that. I just get, do you know what it is? I watch so much football, I get to a point where in my head I'm like, I can't remember exactly what way round things happened anymore. But I know something like that very much did. Super chat here from Lengon Sweet, who says City miss a lot of chances, but City are at least will score 2 goals this game. He has it as 2-1 to Paris Saint-Germain. You can get more questions in for the panel. We are going to open up the lines for you to phone in and have your say. We're going to share that link very, very soon. What we're also here to talk about today is the Hall of Fame in the Premier League.
Well, we don't have one today. Where's Robbie Fowler and Michael Owen in that?
Well, that'll be another day. Interesting. We know that Thierry Henry and Alan Shearer have been added to the mix. Yesterday's results are really interesting. We ran a poll yesterday on the 5 that we discussed and debated. Drogba, Terry, Scholes, Cantona, and Gerrard. The results are now in with the real results 24 hours later. Just under 6,000 votes. Drogba on 18%. John Terry last on 16%. Steven Gerrard and then Drogba like joint third on 18%. Eric Cantona second on 20%, and Paul Scholes leading on 28%. So that is Eric Cantona and Scholes through to the next round. Tonight's vote will be between these 5 individuals: Campbell, Cole, Lampard, Patrick Vieira, and Rio Ferdinand. Now, this isn't to debate whether or not you think these players should or shouldn't be. It's who you would personally pick out of these 5 players to move forward and go into or onto the Hall of Fame. I'm going to go to Jess first on this. Who would you pick out of these players?
I mean, it looks like I have a good chance of getting at least one Arsenal legend in there, yeah? Because there's 3 in there, even though Ashley Cole has a Chelsea jersey on. But I would say Patrick Vieira is the obvious choice for me. I'm going to go with my boy. I love Sol Campbell and everything, but Patrick Vieira is iconic. He was one of the best captains and midfielders. He's the template for a midfielder. We don't have them anymore. You can't recreate them. They don't, it's like that old saying, you don't make them like that anymore. Like he was special, and I think everybody can say, even if you hate Arsenal, you have a little soft spot in your heart for Patrick Vieira. He was a very, very good player. You can't take that away from him. And I rate him very highly. I would say if I had to choose like maybe a second one, probably be Rio, but definitely Vieira.
I hear you on that. I feel with Patrick Vieira a little bit like Roy Keane. He's forgotten about a little bit too much whenever you hear I hear a lot of like Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard, and I get they're all English. So it kind of becomes because it was the debate over the national team as well. But I always think like Roy Keane and Vieira could be above them. And of course you have the next person into, I think it's a 6-man debate for best central midfielders in the Premier League era. You then throw Yaya Toure into that. That will be added to another discussion later on this week. Jan, who would be your pick from this 5?
Oh, this one.
Come on, Jan.
There's 2 ex-City players on there, so I want to pick one of them. But yeah, I think obviously Cole would definitely get into it. He's been the best left back, so I think he'll get in anyway. But I'm going to pick between the 2 ex-Man City legends. No, I'm joking, by the way, guys, before you come at me. Difficult because Lampard had a longer career in the Prem, but I love Vieira, man. Vieira is my guy, so I might go with Vieira, even though he's probably not going to be the next in. But yeah, I like Vieira, so let me go with that.
There we go. Tom, sorry. Go. Listen, you can say what you want. Do you know what I mean? No echo chambers here at the terrace. Tommy boy, what are you saying? Who would you pick out of these 5? What? Do you know what's mad when I look at them? Just how good. Right now,
I can't pick just one. That's how mad it is.
Yeah, right now these players walk into any team in the Prems and they start over anybody else in those teams right now. It's just like that's just the madness now. Like there isn't a player I don't think there's a player that plays in their positions in the Prem right now that's better than these guys. That's how good they were.
Certainly up there. I'm between Rio and Cole. I think Ashley Cole was the best left back in the world for near on 10 years, you could argue. From 2004 to 2012-13, you'd struggle to find the better left back. And he managed, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was part of the Invincibles, which will also put him up in the standings. And then he went on to Chelsea, did his thing there, won how many Premier Leagues. He was just, I don't think there's a single right winger in world football who played him at that time that could get past him consistently. He was that good. But Rio Ferdinand was also very good. High-class Rio was the better out of Vidic and Rio. I think Ferdinand had all the physical attributes, but he was also so smart, so good at reading the game as a defender, which is something that goes overlooked. But I've got to give it to Cole, because to be the best in the world in your position for near on a decade, it's something. It's like Messi and Ronaldo levels for a defender. That's how good he was. And he gets a bad rep because of the person he is. He's not exactly the best person of all time, but as a player,
do you know what's mad,
a player?
Interesting about Ashley Cole? A lot of people say that about him because of things that were in the media. And I met him on a couple of occasions through some work stuff, and it was legitimately. I met a lot of footballers. He is one of the nicest, sweet, charming, polite, like couldn't do enough for you. I just think it was like, yeah, like there was the Cheryl Cole stuff, but like I always say, that's just normal. Like going to an office block that has 1,000 people working it. There's a lot of Ashley Cole, Cheryl Cole situations. It's just normal in life. This thing goes on all the time, but we make out like footballers are meant to be like not human. Do you know what I mean? So I never judge a footballer because of his extra marital activities. For me, do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones. And things like shooting a kid in the face with an air gun. I know this is going to sound like I'm overtly defending him, but these kind of things just happen. I know it sounds crazy. He didn't come in. He didn't go out and buy a gun, an air gun. I will add, air gun. Turn up, load it, and walk up to a kid and shoot him in the head. It wasn't quite like that, but the media made it sound like that's what he did. It was like it just went off by accident when he was looking at it. He was like, "Oh, sorry." Do you know what I mean? It was just. He's a great guy, Cole, but I wouldn't pick him. I'm going to be shameless and pick Rio Ferdinand, who I think is the best centre back in the Premier League era. And the reason I say that about Rio Ferdinand is because I listen to how Van Dijk gets praised now, and Van Dijk's amazing. But he is not as good. He's not as good, in my opinion, as Rio Ferdinand was. And Rio Ferdinand stood out in an era where there were so many good centre-backs, both domestically and across the continent. And he still stood out as one of the very best football players. He was consistent, Champions League winner. He won Premier League titles in the sort of early noughties when he first joined, or a Premier League title. And then he went on that great run when we built another excellent team. The defensive clean sheet record that him and Vidic were able to put together between them was absolutely sensational as well. So yeah, I would just go with him. I almost, for whatever reason with Rio, I feel like he was always a little bit underrated by people and always overlooked, but he could play out from the back. He was an excellent defender in terms of positioning and making sure he was where he needed to be. But if he did get caught out, or if somebody else more so needed covering, he had that athleticism and that speed to be able to get himself back into those positions. He was just a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
But I do feel guilty leaving the others out because now they're all retired. I don't need to have the kind of the goggles on, the red tinted goggles. They were all sensational, as I say, and they would all play right now for every single Premier League team we have. They'd all walk into every single team. That's how talented and good they were. We have a super chat here that says, "Why is Cole in a Chelsea shirt one more Premier Leagues with Arsenal. Just because I took it from the Premier League, and I took it from the database that we have access to, so we're allowed to use images. Didn't take it off the internet. That'd be well out of order. Did not do that. Ashton here says, sorry, he didn't say anything. You become an official member of the Football Terrace. Thank you. We will be putting the poll up at the end of the show for you to come on and vote for it and have your say. We have shared the link in the comment section now.
Did Terry really come last, by the way, in that vote?
John Terry, as it stands right now, but we've ended the vote, even though the votes on YouTube continue forever. We've ended it now, and he's in last place on 16%. But it was so close because him on 16%, Drogba and Gerrard on 18, Cantona on 20. Like, it was so close between all of them. But we will be putting that poll out later on today. So vote for your favorite. And what we'll be doing is the top two from each day. We're doing it every single day until Sunday. And then next week we'll be doing a ranking show like we do on the Football Terrace with the top two from each day, and we'll be ranking them in terms of when they should be inducted, and you'll be able to get involved in that as you always do. But we want to hear from you. We want to know what you think about tomorrow night's game, even tonight's game if you want to speak about it. Any questions about the Hall of Fame, or any questions for my wonderful fresh-faced looking panel. 4 overrated English players who got schooled by the great Ronaldinho at the 2002 World Cup. I mean,
I wouldn't say getting schooled by Ronaldinho makes you overrated.
I mean,
Ronaldinho.
He scored. Listen, I'm going to be shameless here. Ronaldinho is amazing, but he scored a fluky free kick. England were in that game. Like, England could have. Like, that was one game where we went out, and I was annoyed, but I didn't go out thinking we couldn't have won. Like, we actually played well in that game, and Ronaldinho is amazing. like, he put most people on their bums. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. It's a crazy one, but they're definitely not overrated. We're going to go to some of your calls here. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you feel. That was the wrong button, Terry. We're going to go to Mansour Ahmed first of all. What are you saying, Mansour?
Hi, Terry. Hi, guys. In regards to the Champions League game, I'm going to be quite a sore loser here and say I want all the English teams to be out and just want PSG and Real Madrid. But that's me as a sore loser because Liverpool's out of the competition. But yeah, I mean, the only way I can see Chelsea winning is if they stop Mbappe and Neymar, because I reckon PSG as an overall team is not as strong. It's my opinion, but those two are the ones that kind of drive them forward to probably making them win the Champions League. If you stop those two, then I think Chelsea has a chance of winning today. Is Chelsea are playing? No, Chelsea's playing Real Madrid. What am I saying? Man City has a chance of beating PSG. Chelsea do have a chance of beating Real Madrid. But yeah, ignore me. And in terms of Hall of Fame, Steven Gerrard should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to back him. I don't, Terry. I know he's not successful, but I'm just going to go based on talent and world class.
Successful. Listen, bro. Listen, I don't think anybody would deny him, right? But think about it like a Google search. He should be on like page 6.
Page 5 or 4?
Can you make an argument on the air? Can you make an argument on the air for him to go in ahead of any of these 5?
Like I said, in terms of success, no. But in terms of driving the team on his own, yes.
So you would put him in front of these players?
If I use my brain, no. I can't put them in front of any of these players. Yeah.
Listen. I love the passion. I do. Listen, thank you for calling in, mate, and having your say. Top man, thank you. I thought you said something there, Tom. Sorry, Terry.
I'm just trying to figure it out. I mean, saying that Gerrard drove teams forward, that's because there was no one else on the team to do it. But it's a bit harsh to judge Frank Lampard on not driving the team forward because he did, but he didn't have to rely on just him.
It's that old adage: when you're a big old fish in a little pond, you stand out. Do you know what I mean? When you're a big fish in a gigantic pond with other big fish, you're not as noticeable. Doesn't mean you're not as good. I think you have to be better to be noticed in a team full of talent than potentially you have to be than to be good in a team with less talent. I think to stand out, you know, it is what it is. Terry, why do you have an Arsenal fan on for a Champions League preview? I mean, I can answer that because Jess knows more about football than 99.9% of us.
Yay. Thanks, Terry. I knew they were going to come for me at some point. I was like, dang, I've got Like what? How long has it been? Almost an hour before somebody caught me here.
Caught you here, like you shouldn't be here. Yeah, like you've been caught eating fries when you're on a diet. Like, oh no, it's so I'm out of place.
Exactly.
We're gonna go to Jonathan. Jonathan, what are you gonna say?
First time being here.
Big up yourself, brother. Who do you support, my man?
Arsenal Football Club.
Oh, look at that, two gooners on a championship. What do you want to say, big man?
Firstly, I want to speak on Man City and PSG, and I feel like most person is underestimating PSG, and I'll state my reason why. I watch the PSG because I follow a lot of football. I follow mostly European football. I follow English football as well. However, I can say that PSG for the first leg, I realized that most person make a comment about PSG versus Bayern Munich the first leg, and they were stating that Bayern have a lot of chances miss. However, I feel like the first leg didn't reflect on the whole match in the sense that the amount of players PSG actually missing from the first leg. And I don't know, I just feel like PSG is being underestimated, and I feel like the fact that PSG made the final a year ago, I feel like they are just very hungry to make the final again.
Bayern were missing players though. Bayern were missing Lewandowski, and he's like their best player. And if he was playing, some of them chances that fell to Choupo-Moting probably go in the back of the net, and we're talking about Man City versus Bayern.
I mean, for sure, I understand that, but the fact that PSG missing Paredes, Verratti, those are two key midfielders out of their midfield. They also have to move Diallo from the midfield to put in the defense because Marquinhos was injured.
I think the issue with depth then, isn't it? Because I'm not saying Ander Herrera is anywhere near as good as Verratti, but he can come in and still do a job, an admirable job at a Champions League level. Choupo-Moting is useless. He couldn't even hack it at Stoke.
Yeah, look, it would have been a different game with Lewandowski, in my opinion. It's why this game is so evenly poised, because Verratti is back, one of the best midfielders in the world. So there could be more of an opportunity for PSG to shock a few people in terms of control more parts of the game than maybe they did against Bayern Munich. At the same time, though, City have better firepower up front than Bayern Munich did on the night. So you could argue there's more chance of goals being scored, although they're in really bad form. But whenever a team that's got good goal scorers or got good players is on a bit of a dry patch, there's always that moment, that game, that time where they step up, and it's hard to pick a winner. And that's what's so amazing about this tie, is it could go either way, and I don't think that's disrespectful. Jonathan, great call for your first time on the show, mate. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very much indeed. We have the super chat here that says, I don't rate Premier League fame. Gerrard will be in the Champions League Hall of Fame. Chelsea fan. Yeah, I mean, that's true, because that's a different competition. And I think that's the point. It's Steven Gerrard was a top quality player. Nobody is denying that. But a lot of the reasons that people elevate him into these, he carried a team, he didn't play for a good side, it was easier for the others because they were surrounded by good players, blah, blah, blah. I just think that's nonsense. A lot of the players we're talking about, if Thierry Henry wasn't as good as he was, Arsenal may not have won the league titles they won. You know, if Shearer didn't score all the goals he did, I mean, Blackburn definitely wouldn't have won. He didn't win anything else, but he scored a lot of goals. When you think about Paul's goals, linchpin at Man United, Lampard, the geezer, he's like one of the top 4 or 5 goal scorers in the Premier League history. He's a midfielder. Like, they carried their teams as well. I just think it's a Liverpool excuse. It's a Liverpool excuse.
I think the difference is with Gerrard's teams, if Gerrard didn't perform, who would he fall back on? He had Torres for a bit, but Torres fell off after injuries. He had Suarez for a bit, but at that time, Gerrard went in his prime. He was going back a bit. You weren't getting involved as much in the attacks. I think during his prime, if he weren't performing, you had Xabi Alonso, who weren't going to get you many goals because it weren't his job. Peter Crouch was there in his prime. And Peter Crouch, he was a good player, but he's not someone who championship-winning teams fall back on. And Dirk Kuyt. Whereas if Lampard was having an off game, you've got Drogba, you had Iron Robin at times, you had Kalu, you had Anelka. he had top quality players around him who he could fall back on. Sometimes Gerrard had to rely on Bolo Zender and David Ngog if he weren't performing. So while it does make him stand out more, it's also he had to do a lot of it on his own.
I understand that, but you miss one key fundamental point here. He chose to stay.
Mm-hmm.
That's still on him. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can't all just that be. I'm not saying there aren't some points to it, but he also played in some very good teams as well. There's no doubt. We've got Mohammed with us now. He keeps logging in and out of different accounts, but Mohammed's here. He's another Liverpool fan. What are you here to say, bro? Hello. Oh, he's gone. I don't know. He's gone there. He's gone for now. We've got next on the show, we've got Jay is going to be with us. Jay, what are you here to say, mate? You got to unmute your microphone, please, buddy. Okay. He's not ready to speak. Nope. He isn't. He called him, but he don't want to talk. Maybe he just wants to sit backstage and watch from behind the scenes. I don't know. We shared the link again if anybody else wants to phone up and have their say. What are you all thinking ahead of tonight's game? Just to bring it round. Obviously, that kicks off in an hour and a half now. It's getting really, really close. What are you saying, Jess? Back in Chelsea, or do you think Real Madrid will have too much experience?
I can't even call this one. I can't even call this one because I was one of the people who thought that Liverpool would be a lot more evenly matched to Real Madrid. And then I don't know what I was thinking because Modric and Casemiro and Kroos just rocked up. And, I guess the class doesn't really go away, even though, the legs may be gone to a certain extent. So, but
I think it was the fact that we decided to let some of the best passers in world football have as much time as they wanted to pick the passes, and then expected them to not score goals.
That's the only thing that I am thinking is that I think Tuchel will be a lot more. He'll be really prepared for this game. He's like very, very prepared person. He's very good with his tactics. So I think the type of midfield that he chooses will be what he lives or dies by. The midfield that he chooses needs to be the one that's going to be able to keep Real Madrid from getting control over the game. I think I would be very surprised if Chelsea fell apart defensively, because I think that's really the key to everything that they're doing. So I don't think Real Madrid's going to be as confident or as successful against Chelsea, but I just hard to call, but something tells me Chelsea is going to get through this one. I just have this weird feeling that Tuchel is going to set it up in a way where, the midfield is not going to, the Real Madrid midfield is not going to be as successful. All he has to do is look at Liverpool and do the opposite, so.
No, how about yourself, Jan? Do you see Chelsea are just so difficult to break down and beat?
Yeah, I think it is hard to call because I thought when we knocked them out last year, when they came up against Liverpool, I thought Liverpool might do it. The only thing that I would worry about if I was a Chelsea fan is Real Madrid at this point in the competition, because they're so close to the final now. And we've seen when they get to this stage, they do tend to go on and win it. So I'd be surprised if they didn't turn up. I do think Chelsea are very good defensively. So I think similarly to Man City, whoever takes their chances go through. And I know it sounds stupid, but I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think they're going to get, however many chances each. And yeah, whoever's more clinical, because I know Chelsea have also, like Man City, have struggled to score too many goals. Like even against us, that first half in that FA Cup, Chelsea should have been about 2-3-0 up, and they weren't. So if they do that against Real Madrid, I think Real Madrid's players will punish them. But yeah, I could see Chelsea going through. I could.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think Chelsea got a great chance. I mean, Zidane must be so motivated because he could win his fourth. No manager has 4 Champions Leagues. Ancelotti and Bob Paisley on 3 each. And it's weird when you see the list below them. There's so many great managers just on 2. Like some clubs don't have 1, let alone like managers having 2. But you sort of look at it, and for such a young manager to get onto that number, I mean, it's crazy to think. I thought Pep Guardiola would have more by now. You think it's been 10 years since he won he's last. I don't. But it's interesting. You kind of have these moments where you think. I remember being a Man United fan and looking at Pep and Jose when they won their two, and they won them very close together. And I remember people going, they're going to win more than Fergie. They're going to win more than Fergie and everything else. And they might still. Like, I still think Pep will end his career with at least one more. I really do. Jose won't. But you kind of feel like you never know when your last is actually going to come along. And I think if Zidane's got that chance, hopefully him and his team are going to want to sniff that out, because it's an achievement that I don't know if it's ever going to be matched. If you think how long Pep Guardiola has been around now for 10, 50, how much longer has he really got left at the highest level? If you look at most Champions League winning managers, there's one or two that have done it in their late 50s beyond. It's nearly always from like 55 younger. So you kind of look at it and think to yourself, every year he gets older, statistically it becomes less and less likely he can do it. Zidane will get to that point as well. So what an opportunity for him. But I do see Chelsea's defense being too difficult. And I back what Anita said last night massively. I actually think Tuchel is tactically better than Zidane. Now, that doesn't mean I think Zidane... People just naturally go, he sounds Zidane's rubbish. No, Zidane's amazing. But I think Tuchel's better. And now is the time when he's going to prove it. And I think that this will be the time for him to step up. And I don't think Chelsea will get broken down tonight. I think they won't concede. I think they'll score a goal or two on the counter. And I think they're going to lay down... I think in the next couple of weeks, across the Champions League and the Premier League, I think Chelsea are going to lay these markers down for next year that are going to send ripples and ricochets across the game. I really, really do, because they're going to have a big summer as well, and everyone's going to be petrified of them. And it's going to be great for the league, great for Chelsea, great for content as well. We've got Abs on the show.
I think as well for Zidane, just real quick, this is like a chance for him to break through that stereotype of him, of he can't win it without Ronaldo. This is a great chance to do that, and that will put him on another level. He's done it with a great player and without one. This isn't a great Madrid team in a sense, and this is a chance to do it.
Without a doubt. And I think that things get labelled to certain managers or players. You only did it with one team. Pep you only could do it with Messi. If Pep never wins it again,
he's stuck with that for life, isn't he?
He's stuck. Poch, if he doesn't win some, and I get that people say, listen, he should be winning with the money they have. Winning Ligue 1 for me isn't enough. It's Champions League and then going to one of the big leagues. If these managers don't achieve certain things, they're always going to stick with them. Imagine Poch never wins a major trophy, he'll always be called a bottle job. The same thing can happen to any one of these people. It's like, you can only win it with Ronaldo, though. Doing it without, it sets a new precedent. It sets a new level. And I kind of hope that, again, there's all these little stories that I kind of want to happen, but they can't all happen. I wanted Buffon to win it a few years ago, but then I wanted Messi. Then I wanted Ronaldo to get his fifth. It was like, what do I really want? Super chat here says no Sergio Ramos. Okay, is that confirmed? I didn't know.
Yeah, he's still injured.
Tuchel is yet to concede against a top tier manager. I mean, that should be resonating with people. Abs is with us now, who's a Chelsea fan. What are you saying, bro?
Oh, so what are you saying, Terry? What's everyone else saying?
All good. What's on your mind?
So I'll be perfectly honest. I was confident yesterday, but now I'm slightly nervous because when you see that midfield come up, Cruz, Modric, Casemiro, Jesus Christ. When you see them man there come up against you, it's kind of like, you want to be confident, but then there's a small part of you that's shook because ultimately form is temporary, class is permanent, and Luka Modric for me is one of the best midfielders to ever grace football. In my opinion, I personally think he was a better in his prime, he's a better footballer than Xavi, and that's like a big statement to make in itself. But wow. That's just proof of the task we've got ahead. The only thing that's in our favor is they've got the Samba Dan James up top, Vinicius Jr., and that's the one thing that...
No, I was going to say that. We were saying that and he bagged the brace against us. Don't underestimate him.
Say it again. What did he just say? The Samba who?
The Samba Dan
James.
You know what? No. No, large up Dan James. That's the Samba Tammy Abraham. Tammy out. But yeah, that's just... Obviously... Man's got to try and... So we got to be wary. We got to make sure we defend properly. And for this game, I just have a feeling that Havertz is going to be key because the thing with Havertz, a lot of people don't rate him for this, but his ball carrying skills are actually unreal. outside of Pulisic and Kovacic, he's probably one of the best ball carriers we've got on our team. So I think for me, Havertz needs to start. I'm not sure about Mount. Sorry, it's really
Mount, mate. Just get it out your head. Mason Mount starts. It's 110%. If he doesn't start, I will donate some money to charity. I'll donate £100 to charity if he don't start. Unless he's injured. If he's injured, I don't care. If he's fit, he starts.
First name on the team sheet.
Make him the best player.
No, Terry.
Go on.
No, sorry, I was gonna say, but it's not that I don't. I'm not David here. I do rate Mount. It's just I'm not sure. Like, it's about the system, and you have to take into consideration the team. So we have to probably adapt. That's why I'd say this is a game for Kai Havertz, and I would have loved Kovacic to be back, but the man's unfortunately injured. So probably for me, it has to be Havertz, Mount, and Pulisic, and just let's go for it. 2-1 Chelsea. Let's go in a bit.
There we go. All right, bro. Thank you very much for coming on, my man. Final super chat here says Tuchel can't win a Champions League. Pep can win a Champions League. Facts. Is from Manchester. Is blue. Blue is the color. Blue Moon. That is a long name, but thank you very much for that super chat.
Okay, Mason Mount is starting.
There we go. There, saved £100. There we go. It's just obvious. Like, you just know that he's going to start. He's going to play. Team news is out. It's always out earlier for European games. But yeah, I'm stoked for tonight's game. I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing. We are, of course, live straight after the game. Make sure you're here at the Football Terrace for a live fan phone in. Same as we're live tomorrow night after Paris Saint-Germain, Man City as well. Thank you all very much for joining me, Jess, Tom, and Jan. Viewers, make sure you've hit that like and that share button. We're going to share the link maybe in about 5 minutes. Just go onto the community page to vote for your pick of the 5 to go into the ranking show to make it into the Premier League Hall of Fame. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.